Hi, everybody. I'm Tim Newton from the Krannert School, joined today by Penny Sekerak, who is the Vice President with NICO Corporation, and we'll talk a little bit about what that company is and what it does in a few minutes. You started out, though, in the nursing profession. You got your undergraduate in nursing, and we're on that path, and all of a sudden you've gone to the business. I wouldn't say all of a sudden. You're now on the business side. Why that transition?
So I was a critical care nurse for many years. I practiced at Methodist and at St. Vincent's. I started in neurocritical care, went to cardiovascular critical care, and I did a stint in the cardiac cath lab. While I was in the cardiac cath lab, wearing 20 pounds of lead, I would see these people coming in suits. And I thought, I wonder what they do. So I went out, introduced myself, and talked to them about what it is that they did. And they were doing clinical education on cardiovascular disease to patients and families, doctors, etc. And I asked them how they got their jobs. So then I started working towards that trajectory in my own career. And it wasn't long after that before I got a job in the medical device industry. And once I got into the medical device industry, then I realized that I needed to have some business knowledge. So that led me to a BA in management communications, and then ultimately in my EMBA from Purdue.
So you got your EMBA from the Krannert School. First of all, why did you choose Purdue? And then talk about how that degree helped in your career path.
So I chose Purdue because it fit my schedule. They were very flexible. I spent 2 weeks at a time on campus, 2 weeks per semester. It was an accelerated program. It wasn't easy going through working full-time and school full-time, but it was very rewarding. Our group is still together today. So the return on time investment was there. The return on investment in general was there because the quality of the education is extremely high. It's looked at very highly in the professional world to have a degree from Purdue. So all of those things into the flexibility of the program in which I chose with the EMBA program, that's why I chose it. I looked at many other programs, and I really honed in on Purdue because of the flexibility of the program, quality of the education, and the cost.
That's really a common refrain. We hear about that all the time, that this particular program fits a professional
Right.
schedule very well. Talk about some of the instruction that you got and some of the things that you were able to take from those days at Purdue here that you've been able to apply into your real world jobs.
So the biggest would probably be strategy and really understanding strategy from multiple different levels, and then tactics that would be employed for those particular strategies to be successful. Then taking healthcare knowledge plus business knowledge has really made me very successful in my career.
You mentioned
served me well.
you mentioned your classmates, and we hear all the time, especially with the EMBA program,
Right.
that the quality of the classmates is another thing that draws them, and a lot of these folks stay together and stay connected for years and years after they've left. It sounds like your class is in that category.
That is correct, and we reach out to each other. We bounce things off each other from a professional standpoint. We had a 5-year reunion. We're coming up on our 10-year reunion, and it's attended by at least a third to not 2/3 of the class, and there's probably a third that we don't stay in touch with. But the diversity of the group, transferability of knowledge and skills, all of those things become very important. And because we were in an immersed type program, everybody is quite close.
Your current company is NICO Corporation, located in Indianapolis. For those who are unfamiliar with it, what does NICO Corporation do, and what is your role within the company?
So NICO Corporation is a privately held angel invested company, and we are looking to change practice in neurosurgery from a traditional craniotomy to a minimally invasive approach. So that equals better clinical, economic, and operational outcomes for patients, hospitals, and clinicians. So we have been on this journey for the company has been on the journey for about 10 years, and I've been with the company for about 6. So my role there is really clinical market development and demand generation. What that entails is scientific support, clinical research, clinical market education, physician education, research, randomized control trials, prospective study, retrospective study, and then giving that information over to marketing and helping them create a marketing message that resonates with hospital administration, neurosurgeons, and the multidisciplinary teams that are affected by brain tumors, hemorrhagic stroke, etc.
Yeah, it's amazing if you look, I'm sure, at the field of neurosurgery and the things that are related to that
Right.
and go back 10 years, 15 years to today. It really gets you excited about where we're going in the next 10 to 15 years.
That is so true because 5 to 10 years, even 5 years ago, they didn't realize white matter tracts and that there was a lymphatic system in the brain and how things travel and get to the brain from tumors standpoint. So the value of putting things in the brain and taking things out of the brain is really there, and getting to deep parts of the brain without causing damage to get there. We're seeing more and more growth in those particular areas. So NICO is a very interesting company because it is Indianapolis based, and we do have employees all over the U.S. We are expanding outside the U.S., so it is growing, and it is the last frontier to go minimally invasive.
How much has it helped you, having been on, we'll call it maybe the human side of medicine in the nursing profession, to take the empathy and the things that you learned there
Right.
into what you do today?
I would say it's very beneficial because I understand from multiple different aspects what kind of value we're bringing. So when I get burnt out, for example, I go to patient stories. I go to talk to patients about the impact that what I'm doing has had on them, because that makes me then realize once again why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the work is hard, long hours, all that kind of stuff that everyone does today, but it's very rewarding.
What's your basic message today for our students?
So my basic message today for the students would be lead others with you, and really be inspiring to grow others around you, to never stop learning, and then to probably respect others' opinions would be a good message. Respect, integrity, all those kinds of buzzwords that you hear in business school, they're real. And to really understand that.
Does sound like a great message, and we're thankful that you came back to do that today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For Penny Sekerak Zale, I'm Tim Newton.